So welcome, Denise, to For the Love of Group Fitness podcast. I'm so glad to have you here and for you to be able to share your love and passion for the industry to our listeners. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's so nice that we met last week,
Yes.
and I am very, very happy to help any way I can help the group fitness industry.
Yeah, and we met purely and simply off the back of someone that we know mutually, and I met her through the internet and invited her to come along and speak at one of my summits last year. And we just got on really well, which is, I think it's great. Collaborations are, I believe, the way forwards.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a small business world, small fitness world sometimes, that we can go in every corner of the world and know somebody or know somebody, two people away from somebody.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that about this industry.
Absolutely. So for our listeners, share with us this what you're doing today, and really, how did you end up doing what you're doing?
And it really is that I ended up because, I never had a direct path. I'm from New York City, and my love was always for dance and music. And I thought I wanted to be a dancer, which is, hundreds of millions of other women at the time wanted to as well. So I've always had a passion for dance. I've always had a natural ability. And when you I think a lot of instructors who teach come from the dance background or gymnastics or something like that. And I was teaching aerobics back in the 80s, early 80s. And oh boy, it's such a long story, but I'll try to shorten it. I was at a nightclub one night and the DJ didn't show up. So they asked me to, I just knew the owner, and they said, "Hey, would you like to DJ?" And I said, "I don't know how to DJ, but I know music, so I can do my best."
Yeah.
And, we're talking vinyl records at this point. And I went up to the DJ booth, didn't know what I was doing, and started playing music, one record after the other. And the owner said, "I really love your music. Do you want to be our DJ?" And I said, "I don't know music. I don't be a DJ." He says, "Don't worry, I'll train you." So we went to, during the days, his other DJ would train me how to mix records. And then I started to realize, after I got better at it, when I say mix, blending the songs nonstop. When I got better at it, I said, "Ooh, I can make my own fitness tapes and make them nonstop. Wow, this is exciting." So I started to do it for myself. And then all my fellow instructors said, "Please, can you make it for me?" And it was very organic. It was like starting out just selling one, because I would have instructors come to my house and I would mix the music right on the spot. They would tell me what they want, and then I would blend it together. And that's kind of how it evolved. And I had no idea. I was not a college graduate. I had knew nothing about running a business. And it just took off. I just followed the path naturally, organically, because people wanted more. Instructors needed this music. At the time, the only music out there was like what they call bootleg, tapes that you could find on the street from a DJ. But we did it legally. I started figuring out how to do licensing. I started to look into the whole thing, and it was so much fun. It was just amazing that we were solving this problem for instructors, So that's how we got started. We've moved, I don't know if you want me to keep going, but we moved, further along over the years. That was in 1988. And then eventually we went from cassettes to CDs, and that was really fun to go to a CD. And then over the years, we started selling our music as a download, both on iTunes and through our website. And now we have an app, and we're going through some really exciting time right now, because at the time when we first started, I realized it was very difficult to obtain the license from the record label. The record label manages the the artist. I don't know if you know how much you know about that. I don't know if you
No,
want me to get into that.
I know some, and I was just going to ask you. So when you first started, and you said you were mixing, your own stuff for yourself, and then your friends started to ask you, and it kind of grew from there. And we're talking about the 80s, is that right?
Yes,
Okay,
88. Yeah.
So was music licensing an issue back then? Has it always been the same? But we just
it's always been the same.
And the thing is, instructors, I don't think, realize that, right? Because like way back when I was learning, to teach aerobics, I had to, for my assessment, had to bring my own music. And it was a 45-minute class, and I had the vinyls, and I had my finger on a cassette deck and the other hand on the thing to drop the needle and press record at the same time and then stop. And I had to create my own thing for my my practical assessment. But then that was totally illegal then, wasn't it? Doing that, do you think?
It depends on where you live. It depends on a lot of factors, but it probably was. Yes, absolutely. And we came out with Muscle Mixes, the company at the time, before the PPL created their instructor program. In fact, PPL was the ones who called us. They were one of the first companies that called us and said, "You can't sell your music in England." And we said, "What?" And they were actually, so what we started out with was, to answer your question, we started out with using music that was produced by independent record labels. And there were a lot of them at the time. And those are smaller labels that you can literally call them up on the phone, and the owner would answer. And it was okay, because in the 80s, that type of music was really popular. Disco, dance. It was kind of towards the end of disco, but dance was still what we used. And now, we used Sylvester, we used Donna Summer, we used, all that type of music in our high-low classes, high-impact, low-impact aerobic classes. So it was easy to just pick up the phone and call an independent label. And that's what we were using, because we couldn't get the popular artists. And actually, we didn't need them or want them, because the music was too slow back then. It was the independent labels that were coming out with the 150 beats per minute, which is where we were, that world at that time. So then we got a call from the PPL, and they were the one. We're like, "What's the PPL?" I never even heard of them. And they said, you cannot do this. And we, after long deliberation, we realized what we can do is we can produce a re-record, or what's called a cover of the song, and we would eliminate the PPL. So that's why you hear the term PPL free. Right. So, and we were selling so much all over the world that England was the UK was a big country for us. Our volume was big. So, and Germany and, those other countries. So we said, that's when we made the detour at that time to just produce covers. And that's what we've been doing these 30-something years.
So what then happens? So by doing covers, you circumvent PPL.
Right. We were able to still sell music in Europe.
Yes.
At that time, because we were doing covers, and the PPL wasn't involved. We still had to pay MCPS. I don't know if they're still there, but they were the Mechanical Rights Society. And we started to realize that. So there's always two parts to every song, two licenses. There's the artist and the record company. So the record company is like a marketing company. They represent the artist. All right. So their job is to just promote the artist. And that's basically it. And then you have the publisher. The publisher represents the person or people who wrote the written lyrics and the musical composition. And the publisher basically is like an accountant. They collect money. That's how I like to put those into categories.
Okay.
So we eliminated one big chunk, which was the record label and the artist. we became the artists. So in other words, we literally went
Yes.
out there, hired singers to sing
Yes.
the song, but we still were liable for the written word. You know, we don't own it 100%, we own it 50%.
Mm.
That was a lot easier to navigate, and we started paying in the individual countries for just the publishing. So that's how we survived, and you know, we really did really well. We became, you know, anybody who's, I don't know, over the age of 40 should have heard of our name. You know, we were
Definitely
very, very out there at that time. I mean, I was going to 25 trade shows a year. That gives you any indication.
Yeah. So what happens then? So that was all fine, and then we then have even pre-pandemic, people were starting to, some people were starting to stream stuff as on Facebook Lives, YouTube, and then with the pandemic, people were then teaching online using Zoom and things like that. So are there other licenses that have to be considered when they are streaming live or teaching online?
Yes. So the way I've explained it to, because we got bombarded with emails during the pandemic. The way I'd like to explain it is that when an instructor, and this might be different, and you can correct me in the UK, I can tell you how it is in US and Canada.
Right.
When an instructor teaches in a gym, it's the responsibility of the gym to pay for the music that's played in that gym. Is that how it is in the UK, or is it different to you now?
As in, you're not talking about, so like anything, even in the cafe part of the gym, if
Cafe,
they're playing music,
hair salon,
yes, so
restaurants.
yes, they do have to pay something, yes.
Okay, so it's the responsibility of the venue to pay a public performance license.
Yes.
When you go from being just an employee at a gym, right, and go out on your own, now it's your responsibility to decide, to figure out how you're going to pay to play music on video, or in a public place, really. So let's go to social media first. Social media is a whole different animal, Facebook, Instagram, especially, because now it's the responsibility of Facebook or Instagram to pay for that music.
Right, okay.
So the instructor who started to do that, a lot of times they were either taking down the class, or they were muting the class, or they would put them in jail, Facebook jail.
Yeah.
So, and it was going rampant. So, but with YouTube's a little different. YouTube has a couple of relationships with record labels. So they'll keep your content up, but they'll say you can't collect any ads revenue.
Okay.
So you can't monetize the video. So it's social media. So again, just to say whose responsibility? It's the responsibility of the gym if you teach there. It's the responsibility of the social media platform if you teach there. We're talking just music. Now we go to the responsibility of the instructor if you're on Zoom or on a platform, video on demand, recorded, anything like that.
Yes.
Now it becomes your responsibility.
Okay.
And that's why everybody was freaking out. You know, what do I do? What do I do? I got to teach class. So, what we did, and a lot of other companies have done, a lot of instructors started to shift to, was to use royalty-free music. And what that is unfamiliar, mostly instrumental music that has a beat that sounds good for fitness, but it's not Taylor Swift and it's not Bruno Mars and the popular, people. But it's songs that you can use on a virtual setting, in a digital setting. I am going to back that up, though, a little bit and say that there's, and again, I want to also always say that I'm not an attorney, so that's my disclaimer. There is a little bit of a gray area, and it can change from country to country on live streaming versus recorded video. Right. So what you and I are doing, if we were right out there live with people watching us live stream broadcasting, there is some debate as to whether it's okay to use anything you want, any music you want, as long as you don't press the record button and record that class.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say that's 100% accurate because I'm not an attorney, but I do feel pretty strong that at least in the US and Canada that you can do that without incident. However, the minute you record anything where you're syncing, they call it syncing, synchronization, movement with moves, that's called a synchronization license. And now you have to pay both the record label and the publisher. And that's where it gets very expensive and complex.
So which is why instructors are looking for, so it's not just license-free music, it's license-free and royalty-free. Is that what they look?
That's what they're looking for. And that's what's been happening as a solution for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Is we're using, instructors are using music that is the word royalty free. Because if you license a song from a record label or a publisher, you'll pay royalties forever. You'll never be without a royalty. And that's why royalty free comes in hand, because you just pay one fee. In our case, it's $500 a year, US dollars a year, and you can use unlimited royalty-free music for your as many videos as you want for 1 year. Easy, cheap, affordable. You know. So it's good, but it's not recognizable music. You know, so it's good and it's bad. So I sought to fix this problem. I said, 2 years ago, when this happened, I said, wait a minute. If TikTok can use popular songs, if Peloton can now use popular songs, there's got to be a way to make this easier for the fitness industry. And if you'd like, I can go into what we've been doing.
Yeah. What I did want to ask you first, if you don't mind, is you started this. I was just trying to get my head around this. You started this, you kind of fell into it. And you started to mix stuff and everything else. And this is such a minefield. The whole music thing is such a minefield. And yet you got stuck in to learn about it all, when really someone could have gone, oh, it's too much like hard work, and walked away from it, but you didn't. I
guess I didn't. I love this industry so much. I really still have a passion for it after 30 years. I find that group fitness instructors are very special. They're mostly women, of course, but there's men as well. But first of all, no one's doing it for the money. Let's be honest. If you are, good for you. If you're making some good money on it, which is what you're helping them with, right? See? Yeah. Then good for you. Yeah. People that are group fitness instructors, just so passionate, so upbeat, so high energy. I love that. And I don't teach anymore. I used to, but first of all, people that are in their 50s look amazing. And not that looks is everything, but they look healthy. They seem happy. They just have a real positive outlook on life. And I love the industry, so I think that's what's kept me in this game for so long. There were times where I almost said, all right, that's it. I'm done. That did cross my mind a few times, but plus I always say I'm in the business of fun. That's my business, because music makes you happy. Puts a smile on your face. It can make or break your class, just like it can make or break a party. It can change your attitude instantly. You put on a song, I don't care what kind of mood you're in, if you're crying or whatever, and it's a song that you love, or your class loves, it changes the whole feel and the whole energy. So how could you not want to do this, And music is just so much fun. So those two things together, it's like a high and a high. Fitness is like a high, and then music is a high. So it's my drug.
But I think just that in itself is something that, people listening can take from this, right? Is that if they want to do something, they want to create a business for themselves, that you need to find the joy in it, right?
I think so. At least for me, I have to have something in my gut that feels convicted that this is something I want to do and that I enjoy doing. That may not be true for everyone, but that's always been the case for me. I think what makes me the happiest is when I get those phone calls or those emails from our customers that say, we love you guys. You guys are the best, not only for your product, but for your service. I mean, we still will make a phone call. We'll pick up the phone and make a phone call if someone is not happy with something, to try to take care of them. It's nice. It's nice to be involved in a niche market, I find, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to open an Italian restaurant and there's like 20 in my city, what's going to make you different? I've always been drawn to what makes you different and what's going to solve a problem, as opposed to compete for the sake of competing. You really want to have a reason that people choose you, over someone else that's going to make their life easy. That's how I like to look at it.
Yes. And so following on from making life easy, music for instructors has been just, I think, been highlighted so incredibly, the issues with it in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of training providers, companies, etc., like Les Mills, Peloton, I mean, they've all been looking into this, into this area to make it more accessible and easier to understand. And that is something that you have been working on. Is that right?
Yeah. What happened, is the music. I've always said the fitness industry follows the music industry. So the music industry has changed considerably, over the years. And the big change was the change from download to streaming. Because up until that point, we were still purchasing entire albums or a song, right? And owning that song and transferring that content to our possession permanently. With streaming, everything changed, because now for a very small monthly fee, you get access to millions of songs, right?
Yeah.
And that became very appealing to everybody. Why not? Why pay, what we used to pay, $14.99 for an album and hold that album in our hand, and now pay that same amount per month and you own it. You don't have to own it, but who cares? You get to pick anything you want.
Yes.
So that sort of started to level the playing field. Whereas, of course, the ones that stand out, Adele, Taylor Swift, they're always going to be the bigger than life artists. But it leveled the playing field for everybody else. Now you can discover all this other type of music that's out there that are maybe not as popular. So we realized that we had to change our business model. We went from downloading one-offs to a membership subscription program on an app. Same thing. We went to streaming just like everybody else. But I wasn't happy with the covers anymore. I said, this is time. This is time, the right time, because first of all, 20-year-olds coming in are saying, covers? Why do I want to play cover? I got everything I want on Spotify.
Yeah.
So, they didn't grow up in this world. And TikTok and Peloton and, you want the real thing. I always say, do you want a real Rolex watch or you want a fake one? You want the real one, right? So we have started to, 2 years ago, reach out to record labels again. And the last time I had reached out to them was in 1988 and they hung up on me. Yeah. They thought, what? You want to do what? Click. So I finally got through, and we have been able to craft a wonderful contract with Universal Music Group. They're the largest record label in the world. And they're really, the world's changed, because there used to be all these independent labels. There still are, but the biggest ones are now, they bought up all the independent labels. So the biggest ones are Universal, Sony, and Warner. And we signed a contract with them. So what does that mean? That means that starting in very soon, we'll be able to, we're connecting, and actually we've done it already, connected the Universal Music catalog to our app, and instructors will be able to access music by the original artist and mix them together like a DJ at the tempo that they want.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? It's amazing. It's unprecedented, really. And we are launching on May 1st. The date changed since you and I talked. And we're taking people, on the waiting list. I could say what that address is at the end of this, if you want to sign up and get in early. And what it will also do, so phase 1 on May 1st will be for instructors to be able to access all the songs they love by the artists that they love, the original version, create mixes, but in addition, we'll also have pre-mixes, which are, ones that are created by a DJ that are mixed together in 32 counts, using the original artist. So it's very, very, very exciting. So you get to choose from pre-made mixes, or you get to create your own. And over time, we'll be able to we'll add other literal bells and whistles. So someone can create, like a Tabata class and things like that. But this is our first rollout.
So, okay, so instructors, just to clarify, a lot of instructors, even though it's not technically legal, create playlists on platforms like Spotify, for example. So what you're saying is that with this agreement now that you have with Universal, that instructors can create their own playlists.
Playlists that are, yes,
legal,
that are blended together, on beat, which is really cool. Yeah, we're really excited.
That's amazing.
Now, this is just going to start out in the US and Canada. We will expand to other countries as well. We want to get it out to US, Canada. That's our neighborhood. And then once we get that going, then we'll have to acquire, not have to, but we'd like to acquire also we'll start with English speaking countries like UK first, and then go from there, Australia, and so forth. But the second phase will be, which is going to launch August 1st, we'll be able to license the same music for video on demand. So we're so excited about that. I know.
Oh my God.
You'll be able to, you'll get a synchronization license from us for your videos. And this is only the fitness industry.
Yeah.
But if you have a video on demand platform, either a gym, there's a lot of gyms that have video on demand platforms now because they want to offer both to their members. I'm assuming that's happening where you are as well here, because how long were you shut down in the UK? Was it long? Or?
It was really the first year, 2020 into 21. There was a gap in the middle, and then lockdown happened again, sort of in the autumn. And then
I did read that. Yes.
Yeah, there was a gap. Yeah,
because here in the US it was different depended on the state you were in. But I know Canada was shut down a very long time. So so these businesses say we never want to be in this position again where we can't generate revenue. So they decided to create this video on demand library that they can offer their members, and a lot of members love it. So we are going to be working with a lot of gyms, boutique studios, and individual instructors who need to use music for their videos. And the whole goal of this is to advocate for the fitness industry. We want to be the people that help you to make music licensing more digestible and easier.
Yeah, because it's so complicated.
It's so complicated, and
so
there's a lot of reasons why, but it's very complicated.
I kind of, the more I kind of learned and got, tried to understand it, it makes sense that the artist who sings it, earns from it. The people that actually wrote the lyrics and the music also need to earn from it, right? And so you're trying to safeguard what essentially is
your assets,
work by them, and they worked very hard for that, right? And so you kind of understand it, but at ground level for instructors, it's a pain.
It's so complicated.
Yeah.
Now I will give kudos to PPL. They have simplified it a little bit easier. Is that right? Would you agree with that statement? At least last I checked, they made it a little easier. No?
Yeah, I still think for a lot of instructors and teachers at ground level, it's just like, it's an industry that's driven by passion and sometimes not a lot of common sense,
I know.
And and
So true.
I get it, and it's just like, oh God, we have to pay this, we have to pay that, and this,
I know.
it's
Yeah, I
and
know.
and the pay for instructors hasn't gone up in 25, 30
No.
years, so it seems really hard for them because it seems like they're constantly paying out for
Yeah.
stuff all the time, and
Yep.
all they want to
Yep.
do is just help people be happy, be healthy, by moving their bodies to a great
Yep.
tune, right?
That's true.
um so
No, it's so true. It's so true. And we're hoping to make it affordable as best we can
Mm,
and make it easy. We're definitely going to make it easy. Affordable, we're doing pretty good. We're knocking down the labels and saying, hey, you got to help us here. Because it's a great opportunity. One of the things I like to say is that the instructor is like a mini DJ, because
yeah.
if you think about it, where do you go to hear breakout artists anymore? I mean, now they're putting music in TV shows and then, because now everybody watches TV shows, right?
Mm,
But aside from that, a movie, where are you going to hear? I mean, there's no traditional radio. There's no, I mean, there is, but that's not the one place like it used to be. Spotify, there's no, you have to discover for yourself.
yeah.
So how do you hear music? You got to go to a nightclub, but not everybody's doing that. People have kids.
Mm,
So the gym is the perfect place
it
to
is.
break through an artist, and say, hey, here's their new song. Because, if it wasn't for my 16-year-old, I, in the music business, wouldn't even know half the songs out there because I don't go to a nightclub. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely.
you know,
And I
it's
mean,
so that's so it's a, yeah,
the number of participants that come up and say, oh, I absolutely love that song, or
it's
like for
true.
me, I certainly I still teach Les Mills body balance classes, and
Oh yeah,
it's exposed me to artists that
never
I
knew.
never knew about. And then I'm like,
That's
wow,
right.
and actually I think I saw a post on Facebook by an instructor who's saying they're going to see this band in concert, and the only
Oh,
reason they've done that is because they started to get into their music because it was used in one of the Les Mills
absolutely.
programs,
Oh really?
and they
Wow.
wouldn't have done that. And I think I feel it's also kept me young because I don't have
Right.
children. And so it's
Exactly.
exposing me to a lot of new young,
Yeah.
artists and
Dua
music
Lipa.
styles.
I mean, I wouldn't know
Yeah,
about Dua Lipa if it wasn't
yeah.
for. So yeah, fitness is a wonderful
Mm,
business
mm,
for the artists
yeah.
to, like I said, they're putting music and they know that now. I think that's why it was a lot, even though it took me 2 years, that's why I think it's a lot easier. They want to work with the fitness
Mm,
industry now. They see the money coming in from Peloton. They see the interest and, what an amazing way to learn about an artist
mm,
through fitness. Because like you said, there's thousands of people that go through all these gyms every single day. So why
absolutely.
listen to a royalty-free song? Not that there's anything wrong with a royalty-free song, but why listen to that when you can hear, a great artist? So
Mm,
because there's so much great music out there, and
absolutely.
it makes sense. The time is right. This is the right time.
Mm,
Because like I said, in the '80s, they weren't interested. They couldn't even imagine that. But the
mm,
time is right now because of TikTok. Even I
mm.
mean, you can use any song you want, pretty much. Um, and it's no problem. So we're spoiled. We don't want covers anymore.
No.
So I mean, why? Um,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, it's we're really excited, and we are excited to get to Europe eventually.
That'd be great.
Especially like I said, English speaking countries. I know you guys have Brexited out of Europe, so
That's a
we'll
whole other
start out
thing.
with. I know. We'll start out there, but yeah, we love feedback, by the way. If anybody ever wants to give us feedback, email us at
Mm,
hello@musclemixes.com. We
mm,
love, the more you want to tell us, the better. If there's a favorite artist or a favorite song or something you want us to do or do better or
mm,
create, we'd love to hear feedback from customers.
mm.
I just thought I'd throw that out as well.
Absolutely. Um, so you mentioned that this industry, you're doing all of this, right? You're having conversations with the music companies, music labels and everything else, you know, and it's because you do love this industry, the group fitness industry. For, you know, what advice or key message do you have for the instructors at ground level who are finding it, you know, an uphill battle, either because of music or just coming back after lockdown in certain countries where you said like lockdown has been a long period of time?
A lot longer for certain states in the US and in Canada. Yeah. I mean, I can only speak for what works for me. I think it's really important to be focused every morning. At least that's what works for me. Sit down with yourself, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And one of the things I find that works is to just sit down and pick 3 things that I want to do that day that are the most important, whatever that is. Is that what you meant? Am I going in the right direction?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I think it all starts with your head and your mindset. You know, I'm no, mindset teacher. I can only tell you what works for me, but I know that if I let the day grab me and I just follow along, as opposed to me grabbing the day and controlling it, for lack of a better word, or deciding where I'm going to put my energy and stuff, I find that to be very helpful. I also have noticed for instructors that, my God, instructors are much more valued now. Gyms realize, oh my God,
you think
we
so?
need you, right? I don't know if you've seen that, but I think that instructors, like you know this, are starting to create their own businesses, and whatever that looks like, whether it's personal training, whether it's selling a series of classes, whether it's setting up some passive income, where when they're on vacation. I mean, instructors shouldn't have to be like a hairdresser where if you're gone, then there's no haircuts. They should be, let's put up some workouts that your clients can do while you're out of town, or whatever the case may be. But think a little bit more like a business. I know instructors are so passionate about the education and they love what they do. But if you can just think a little bit about the business side, number one, it raises the value across the board for all of us, right? And number two, you get more money.
And because that's the thing, is like for the participant, when their favorite instructor's away, there's like no classes, like no haircut, right? But also for the instructor who is self-employed, who works for themselves, if they don't teach, they don't get paid either.
That's right.
If they're off for 2 weeks holiday, then they lose out on 2 weeks pay. Not every instructor, certainly in the UK, is employed.
Right.
So yeah, even if it's just a little thing on the side,
a little thing
on
on
how
the side.
can you service your participants better, or more, it's useful for both parties, I think.
Yeah, because we love our instructors, and that's been proven during this pandemic. We as participants love our instructors, and turn it from a service only business to a product-based business, which is, and this is your expertise, but somehow create what works for you. Because there's so many, some people are taking classes outside. Some people are asking for a prepayment of 10-week, some 10-week thing. I love those actually as a participant, because that commits me. Make sure I get there. So those are the 2 things I would say. Number one, your mindset. I'm not even going to talk about like nutrition, because everybody, instructors know that already. But number 2, this is a chance for instructors. This is the time, to record your classes or whatever it may be. I'm assuming, you work with those kinds of instructors, right? Who are doing that, trying to figure out a way to create an income.
As
over
well.
and above just teaching.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think instructors, yes, I think we're getting to a point where operators are starting to realize they need to appreciate the instructors more, because there's been a attrition, isn't there, where instructors have left the industry.
That's right.
And so the operators have got to appreciate them, but then the instructors, have been through a really hard time
They
where
sure
they
have.
don't feel, they feel underappreciated and underpaid,
Yeah,
so yes, if they can do something to lift themselves up rather than rely on, clubs,
absolutely.
why not,
And
right?
and we have seen a lot of people do that. I mean, I did see some instructors say, I'm done. I'm not going to teach anymore. This is my chance to get out. But I didn't see that as much as I saw the pivot to how can I make some money? Like at first, everybody, this is my perception. At first, when the pandemic hit, everybody just went out and started giving out free content. All right, I'll teach them on
Yes.
Facebook, right?
Yes, they did.
I can't lose them. Oh my God, I got to get them. They got to see me. And that was good. But then, thankfully that went away and they started realizing so much easier to find out there's platforms out there. There's even companies out there that help you, like you, follow a path to generate revenue, right, with certain techniques of either marketing or running a business. You don't even have to. I mean, I did it the hard, long way.
Yeah, you did.
It was. I mean, I had to sit there and like pack boxes myself. You know, nowadays everything's digital. I mean, marketing just means it doesn't mean like flyering, cars anymore, like I was doing. It could just mean, hiring you or hiring a marketing expert, somebody to just tweak a few things on your website, put a big buy button or whatever. It doesn't even have to mean that much. But that's so important. And just that overview, and it goes back to the mental state, like I said earlier, it goes back to valuing yourself more, and realizing you have something to offer. Because I have noticed that times instructors, and I'm generalizing, feel uncomfortable when you say sell more. The word sale scares them.
Yes.
Do you find that
Absolutely.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I don't
And
want to sell. I don't want to seem
I don't want
pushy,
to sell.
salesy.
I don't want to see pushy. Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
Now there's pushy tactfully and there's pushy not tactfully. Like it does bother me when friend requests me just so they can sell me something.
Yeah.
For example. But just by virtue of, here's an example of something. And again, I'm not a marketing expert, but here's an interesting example. I'm sure you've seen this in the UK too. So Starbucks or any coffee shop, right? Back when we always paid with cash, it was just cash, right? And that was it. But now that we pay with a credit card and it goes through the iPad or whatever, it always asks, do you want to leave a tip?
Yes, it does.
We never thought to leave a tip before, but now we feel peer pressure. Oh my God. So just by asking for the tip,
Yes.
they're getting tips now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So anyway, so I'm very big on sales. I like to sell because I feel like you're satisfying a need. If you look at it that way, and if your mindset is that way, that's what's made. I feel like that's the secret to my success, is just realizing you are helping someone by selling them, because you really are. If you didn't tell me about the restaurant, I wouldn't know about it to go eat or whatever. So
yeah, one of my coaches in the early days said that to sell is to serve. Because I get instructors who are like, oh, I don't want to keep sending emails out, and I'm going, but if your email is sharing with them a new book that you've read, or how to help with their shoulder tension when they're sitting at a desk all day, why wouldn't they want to receive that email of you?
I know, because if they like you, I like the Gap, so I like getting emails from the Gap or whatever. If you like that brand or person, I want to hear from them. It makes my day sometimes. There's the other rest of the stuff I get is junk. So why not? So we and we are looking for ways to create more of a community also. Like we have a Facebook group called the Fitness Music Lounge.
Nice.
Just to keep it light and fun. And, we want to start bringing in DJs, and if we're allowed to play the music on Facebook, we got to figure that out. But we want to create more of a community. It's interesting because one of the things we do is we custom produce music for branded formats. So like a Les Mills, but
Other ones.
Paloxing or, other companies. We work with Soul Fusion right now. So we work with a lot of different. But one of the things that we do is that we ask them, what do you want your music to sound like? What's the beats per minute? How do you want to format it? And we create a custom mix with their brand on it. And we put it in a private portal on the app so their instructors can access it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that recently we started talking to a lot of different brands, and they've been asking us, can we help each other? It never occurred to me that they wouldn't consider themselves as competitors. Instead, they look at it as, how can we help one another? And I was like, oh, wow, light bulb. They want to help each other. I thought they were competitors, this bar program versus this bar program or whatever. And I guess they are competition, but I think that really is telling to the way instructors are. They want to help each other, even in that, when they do compete, but that kind of thing.
I think, and I started by saying this, I think collaboration is the way to go. And rather than actually feel like, you're an island by yourself, when really, the lives that we affect through group fitness is actually still a very small percentage of the global population. And and like you say, people will buy into you because they like you, they like your brand and what you represent. And so it doesn't matter, like you say, there's one bar program, another bar program, it doesn't matter because it has a different feel. And and together you can probably affect more lives as a whole than if you were working on your own.
No, I like that. And I don't think I used to feel that way when I first started my business. I was like, oh, compete, but then you learn that over time that there is more power in numbers. And so if we can create that type of a community, because we're helping instructors with music, but maybe we can help expose the brands to our instructors. Hey, if this brand wants to help, make them aware of a different type of a brand that they could do every now and then, or a different type of yoga or a different type of Pilates or whatever the case may be, we may look into doing that, so we're looking to build a community more than just a Facebook group. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet, quite frankly. We're still like thinking about what that means. But this industry is just so amazing and everybody loves to help each other. So it shouldn't be too hard to figure out down the line.
So just to wrap up, Denise, in all your years, 30 odd years of being in the group fitness industry as a participant, as well as, as a supplier to instructors, what would you say is the craziest thing that you've done?
Oh my goodness. Well, other than jumping up into the DJ booth and starting to be a DJ when I wasn't one, okay, I have a couple of things, but let me say one of the craziest things I've done as a supplier. I had this like crazy idea once that I was going to build a cassette tape out of plastic. Now you have to help me convert. Okay, it was probably 6 feet long. What is that? 6 feet long and maybe 4 feet.
Right.
I don't know. It was huge.
Right.
I built this giant cassette tape. It was real. It had like the tape on the inside and the big plastic and the round. And I don't know why I didn't just put it on a banner or something, like looking back, why didn't I just put that as a graphic, but no, I wanted a cassette tape hanging from the ceiling above our booth. Not only did I spend hundreds of dollars building this cassette tape, then we had to ship it. Then we had to hang it. When we got there, nobody wanted to hang it. They're like, that's a liability. What if it falls on you? We finally got it up, and I was so happy looking up and seeing the cassette tape. So that's probably one of the craziest things I've ever done, because I think after that show, that was the Ideal World show. After that show, I think we just took it to the dumpster and we were like, what are we going to do with this thing? So that was kind of fun. That was kind of a crazy, fun thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's probably the craziest. Yeah. As an instructor, the only thing that I've ever done that's been pretty crazy is I can only do this in my 20s. I used to DJ till 4 a.m. in the morning on a Friday night,
Right.
wake up the next morning and teach a 9 a.m. high impact aerobic class. Not to mention maybe a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't do that anymore, but I did it.
I couldn't do that either.
I don't know how I did it. But
yeah.
So that's it. I hope that meets your level of crazy.
Who knows? I think you should have kept that plastic cassette tape.
Oh my gosh, I'll send you pictures. Oh
Wonderful.
boy. And then later on I said, should we make a CD? And my team said no. But I would like to, if we could, share a link. Maybe I could send it to you for the waiting list.
We will put the links, so you can obviously where can we'll put the links all in. If you're listening in, we'll put the links in the description for the podcast and wherever you're listening to that, and on YouTube as well. And where can they reach out and connect with yourself?
So right now it's musclemixes.com, MUSTLEMIXES.com, or hello@musclemixes.com. We're also going to give you and C a special code that you can give out to your audience and give them 15% off joining or anything they want.
Thank you.
So we'll, by the way, the new app is going to be called Vibes Music. So we're rebranding so that everybody's clear that it's not covers anymore. They're all original artists. So Vibes Music is the app, and it'll be on both iOS and Android, available May 1st in the stores. But we want to make sure we give your audience a discount. So.
Wonderful. Is that so? Will that apply to just the US and Canada?
At the moment, yes. Okay. I apologize. At the moment, the original artists' music will be US and Canada only. But down the line, we hope to expand to other countries as well. We're very excited.
Wonderful. So very exciting. It's all
very
really
exciting. Nice. So thank you. It's such an honor to be on your
thank you for
podcast
being
and
here.
your show. And I'd love to get to know you better any way we can to help you, along the way.
No, it's wonderful. I just think it's super inspiring for, to have someone that's obviously literally fell into the industry and
exactly,
and has stuck with it and stood up for it, and still standing up for it and breaking new ground. I think that's super inspiring.
Thank you.
It's just wonderful to hear that, because I think it's an industry that sometimes people jump and change courses a lot.
Sure do.
And the music field, when it comes to fitness, is such a minefield, as I said, and it's you're so brave to tackle it, and stand up for the industry, basically.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that.
So thank you very much. And listeners, do hook up and follow. If you're in North America, then take advantage of the Vibes app and music app and check it out. And the rest of us and the rest of the world, we will follow with bated breath.
Yes, for sure.
We will cheer you on from the sidelines.
Thank you. Thank you. I know, right? Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, thank you again. I really, really appreciate it. It was nice meeting you. Everybody out there, and reach out anytime.